Ladies and gentlemen, people are moving north, and we're here tonight as professionals in the industry to talk about why, how, is it temporary, is it forever, what's happening in the marketplace. We're going to help you read the real estate market. Lisa Novak.
Hey, hi.
Mark Novak.
Yeah, you've got the two of us tonight.
Plenty of years in experience, so we're going to share with you these details. What's happening out here?
Yeah,
so what's happening?
We're seeing a lot of people heading north. So a lot of people moving into the northern beaches, a lot of people moving out of the northern beaches and heading further north. They all seem to be going north, Mark. They don't seem to be going south. Correct me if I'm wrong, but lots and lots of people that I've been selling for are like, oh, we're going to move to Coffs Harbour. We're going to move up near Ballina.
Byron Bay.
Byron Bay is a big one.
35% growth, 38% growth.
It's crazy. And then likewise, we're seeing a lot of people that are moving from the eastern suburbs, Chatswood, Willoughby, moving into the northern beaches. So there's lots of factors. We want to talk about why the movement. Why is this big movement happening? And obviously COVID's the driver, Mark, right?
Yeah,
COVID's the driver.
What I think is really interesting is that it's not everyone's talking about normal, getting back to normal post COVID, but I think it's pretty clear we shouldn't be using that word normal. I think life's changed forever, and so what does it look like over the next coming months and years and potentially 10 or 20 years ahead of us? It's really, really interesting.
Well, it is interesting. Are we going to run out of property? I feel like at the rate that we're listing and selling property, it kind of feels that way. Are we going to run out of property here in these northern areas of Sydney, New South Wales, Australia? Because there's not a lot of developing going on, and are we going to be able to keep up with this demand, right? It's very, very interesting. I mean, if we just look at northern beaches, we don't have that much developing going on to be able to keep up with this kind of demand. The funny thing is, though, everything's selling at the moment, but people aren't necessarily wanting apartments, Mark. They're selling up their properties in Bondi and in Paddington and in Lane Cove, and they're wanting to buy here on the northern beaches. And as I mentioned, likewise, there's people that are selling up on the northern beaches, and I've sold for tons of vendors that are heading further north.
And you know what I love about, I know Paul Anthony's just made a comment on basically he's watching on his telly tonight, there you go. But what I think is really interesting is the news that we're giving you tonight, is right at the coalface. This isn't something media churns out 3 months later or a month later, but this is exactly what we're seeing right now. Yep. This is current, and this is not even filtered, because sometimes when it goes through a newspaper or a media thing, is that really what's happening? So yeah, we're seeing this, guys, for sure. We're seeing this as these moves. When you're buying and selling property, it can't be for next year or the year after. With stamp duty and selling fees, stamp duty is about 6% on $1 million. 4% on $1 million, and agents' fees sitting at 2%. So people are chewing up 6% of their hard-earned money in these moves. You don't get in and out straight away. You're going to be doing it for 5 or 10 years. So make no mistake, these significant changes that we're seeing with people heading north with property, these are fundamentally long-term, definitely not short-term moves.
But you know what else, Mark? I know COVID was the driver for a lot of this, but this is, these moves are things that people have thought about for a really long time. They've dreamt about doing this for a really long time. The husband and wife have had the conversation that probably goes something like this. I'd love to live on the northern beaches, but I need to be close to the city for work. I'd love to be near the northern beaches, but we just can't do it right now.
Yeah.
All right. But COVID obviously fast forwarded that for a lot of people. But this movement that we're seeing is just absolutely phenomenal. And, being close to the city, remember everyone always used to write in their text how close the property was to the city. You just, I know for myself, I would say to buyers, you're right near the B line.
Boring.
Yeah, now everyone's like, I don't even mention how close you are to the B line, which is our bus system that transports people in and out of the CBD, because it's no longer a selling point. No one's going to the city. And if they are, they're only having to go into the office maybe once or twice a week. So they're going, you know what, let's sell up our apartment in Paddington and let's go move to Avalon, which is exactly what's happening. And they're almost swapping it out for similar money.
Yep.
I just sold a two-bedder in Paddington for a client a couple of weeks ago for around the $1.6 million mark. Now, that's a two-bedder apartment in Paddington. Now, that can still get you a small, modest house, certainly a lovely townhouse here on the Northern Beaches.
And guys, don't forget, tonight's show is interactive. If you've got any comments, thoughts, any contributions you'd like to put in, let us know. We're watching the comments live.
Absolutely.
Lise, I'm the type of guy that when everyone runs north, I run south. It may be out there, and look, I support the Northern Beaches like nothing else. It's my bread and butter, but it also brings thoughts to the ideal of being counterintuitive. And there's probably good buying at the moment in the hardcore worker CBD areas at the moment. I'm not promoting you to go anywhere else but the Northern Beaches, but
that's right.
But it's probably not a bad idea to pick something up in those sort of suburbs, because you could be getting. I know I looked at a car space a couple of weeks ago, and the prices of car space in the CBD, because I still think it's very bankable. They're very sought after commodities, and it does underpin something I feel strongly about, which is supply and demand. It is. It comes back to that supply and demand, which pushes those prices up. Is there going to be a demand again for the CBD? Probably.
I think we're a long time coming.
A demand.
I think we're a long time coming. But I reckon you're right, Mark, because I actually appraised for a client an insane apartment in the city, like one of the best apartments I've ever seen. Now, that realistically should have been a $3 or $4 million apartment. And he's like, do you think I can get 1.8 for it? And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's incredible, beautiful views. And so, you're quite right. Now's a great time to be picking up property in the CBD. But why the move north? That's what we're talking about today. Everyone is marching north. So you talked about, I know a few months ago, Mark, this one ring effect where people were moving one suburb out. We're certainly seeing that. And what's funny here on the Northern Beaches is areas like Bayview, areas like Ingleside, areas like Terry Hills, the days on market for these properties used to be
too far.
We'd list a property in Ingleside and you'd be like, okay, let's buckle in. We're going to be on this one for a while. I listed that house in Ingleside last Tuesday. And by Tuesday night, it was exchanged unconditionally.
Only because it was with another agent for 4 months.
It was with another agent for 4 months.
Same price.
True story. However, there are buyers that are saying, you know what, there's areas of the Northern Beaches that I can't afford. I'm going to take my $3 million, and instead of putting it into Freshwater or Manly, I'm going to start looking up in areas like Ingleside. So he was able to buy a 2,000 metre squared, beautiful, big 2-story house instead of the 400 metre squared, single level, modest house that you would, ordinarily pick up in Freshie.
Now, let's look at the things that are underpinning this, guys. And you know what? I always like things. Sorry, I was getting those comments off. I'm always liking things to animal instinct. It goes back to, human nature, what people like, warm, hot, floods, fires. It still goes back to that good old human nature things, guys. So if you want to read the play, think like a gorilla, because, at the end of the day, people, they are attracted to the heat. They like that. They don't like too much heat. So, going up to the Northern Territory, it's still probably unlikely for those fundamental reasons. But certainly, if you are getting more bang for your buck, something that I think as an employer, so we have 40 to 50 people here. I guess I've got a pretty good measure of what an employer experiences. Something that an employer has always had a license for is to employees come to work. Employers lost that license. That license was taken away from them. So that employee that said, screw you, I'm going to work from home, it's COVID, it left employers absolutely helpless. They could only say yes. And now forging into the future as years come along, employers, we're all pretty sure that it's something you can't be vigilant and you can't hold. Furthermore, we've experienced in the last 12 months that productivity has been fairly consistent.
Absolutely. It's
Maybe
been so
more,
stable. Yep.
maybe less. I heard something today on a podcast. It's basically not work from home, it's work from anywhere.
Correct. And
Right.
the people are doing it, but they're doing it successfully. And so businesses, I guess, are looking at their figures, at their profit and losses and going, you know what, it wasn't so bad. When we look back over the 12 months, and believe me, we're not being naive, hospitality is being excused here, but there are certain businesses, you often say it yourself, Mark, the energy needs to transfer somewhere. And so many businesses were doing really, really well during the pandemic and continue to do so. But on top of that, they're saying, you know what, with our employees working from home, we were still as productive. And once everyone got used to it, they seem to enjoy it. I know with our daughter, she's been working from home now for, 12 months. And she whinged and complained for the first few months, but now she whinges and complains when she's got to go back into the office. Okay. But Mark, let's address the whole north. Why is everyone marching north? People coming into the beaches. We cannot list property quick enough for the level of buyers that are coming into the northern beaches. Yep. And I know, speaking with other agents in Coffs Harbour and Byron Bay and all the way up the coast, they're saying the same thing.
Because they have a license to do it now, and it's called work from anywhere.
Correct.
That license, work from anywhere, means we have the same level of income.
Yep.
And we have the ability to live it. People are living out their inhibitions. So anyone who's moving to the northern beaches or any other suburb north, by the way, south actually hasn't done too bad either.
Oh, no. I know agents in Melbourne that are doing phenomenally well.
And I've got some analytics on the south of Sydney that I'm going to show you guys in a sec, because I'm the figures man, And I always get pulled up.
Loves his numbers.
Why do you always
talk figures? I can see Andrew
figures?
Ramsey on here, and I know Andrew and I were having a bit of a chat on social media the other day. That whole Gold Coast Brizzy area is just absolutely exploded as well. But I think, again, the infrastructure is there. I mean, if we just relate back to Northern Beaches, which is where we're based, if this happened 10 years ago, I'm not confident we would have seen this level of buyers moving in. But people are now saying, you know what, it's still affordable in comparison to other areas of Sydney. The infrastructure is there. Yep. If they have to go back into the city once or twice a week for work, they jump on that Beeline bus.
They call it 322.
What's that?
3 days at work, 2 days at home, weekend. 2 days.
Really?
322.
322.
A lot of employers are running 322 at the moment, seeing how that goes for 2021.
But the infrastructure's there, Mark. So the Beeline bus is there. So if they need to jump back into the city, they can do so.
Yep.
The beaches are all around us, right? So and that obviously continues as you move further and further up the coast.
Yep.
We've got a great hospital here as well. We've got, one of the largest hospitals in the country now.
$2 billion.
The Northern Beaches Hospital that was built.
Yep.
The schools are incredible.
Yep.
And what is interesting to actually watch that's happening in front of our eyes is the infrastructure. It seems that the government can't keep up with the infrastructure that's going on. And I know we were in Coffs Harbour recently, and they're building that bypass through Coffs.
$4 billion bypass.
But that wasn't due to take place, I think, until, was it the end of this year? They were going to start that.
They fast-tracked it.
And they fast-tracked it because there are that many people moving into the area.
Now, to understand this phenomenal move north, you've got to dig a little bit deep.
Yeah.
And you've got to look at the emotions that one has had, dreams or aspirations. And I think they haven't changed. They've just lived them out.
Yeah.
So they've always thought, okay, I want to go, I will, I should, but. Or that maybe, or that reservation, for most part has been erased. So they don't really have those limitations or things holding them back from what was holding them back before. Now, what I think is really interesting, and I want everyone to have a think about this, is what I think is really interesting is people are calling it a sea change or a tree change. So you may be heading towards the trees in an hour and a half out of Sydney west, Katoomba, those areas. You may be going south an hour, half an hour. You may be going north half an hour, an hour, which is us. So what I think is very interesting, guys, and I want you to have a big think about this, is we have clearly witnessed wholeheartedly, we've witnessed a sea change and a tree change over the last 12 months probably the last 6 months much more aggressive.
Yeah.
What I think is really interesting is that's a domestic sea change and tree change. It's a domestic sea change or tree change. People had the inhibition and now they're saying, I'm going to do it because I don't have to go to the CBD. Get this one.
I'm ready.
What about international?
I know, we haven't even touched on that yet.
Right.
Wow.
So if you think that this sea
We were talking
change,
about this yesterday.
massive.
Yeah.
If you think this sea change, tree change, heading north, whatever we're talking about tonight,
Yeah.
is going to be short-lived, there's still people that are doing it, and they're probably going to be doing it for the next couple of years.
Borders to open. Wait for those borders to open. So, guys, think about this.
Yeah.
Think about
Massive.
how well Australia looks to the rest of the world where COVID is concerned. I remember speaking with a client going back a few months ago saying, we look like we might be going into lockdown again. We've had 16 cases overnight. And she said, 16,000. And I said, no, 16. We have performed so well in front of the eyes, on the stage to the whole wide world. What do you reckon is going to happen when we're able to fly? We've got friends that live in Macau. Next, at any possibility that they will be jumping on a plane and coming back here. Now, these are guys that are high-profile corporate people that have carved out an amazing life for themselves.
Yep.
The wife went and dropped the children off in Hong Kong to boarding school. The husband, they live in Macau, and they got locked down. Hong Kong got locked down, and she's been locked in Hong Kong for 4 months, and he's in Macau. They're like, you know what? We just don't want to live a life like this where we're worrying about this all the time. So, there's them and many, many others that will follow suit. Andrew, you're going to be having a whole lot of international visitors. Gold Coast has always been extremely appealing to international visitors. Northern Beaches has always been extremely appealing to international visitors. What do you reckon is going to happen, guys? It's going to go bananas.
So let's pull apart. I'm going to come back to that international sea change, tree change in a second, because there's more I've got on that. But Leela's asking the question about Cairns.
Yeah.
What do we punt about Cairns? First of all, it's not our core area, but we can have a punt. You got to go back, Leela, to those principles that I'm talking about. How many people had the inhibition in Sydney or Melbourne or parts, or the sort of southern parts of Queensland, to go to Cairns, and they're going to actually live that out because they're going to get to keep their jobs because they've got that license now.
Yeah.
They've got the license saying they can work anywhere they like, and they're productive, and they've proved it. I think Cairns has always been a favourite. I think it's been a favourite for the good, solid elements that it offers, and I don't think that's going to change. It's probably going to get amplified a little bit like Byron Bay got amplified.
Well,
in those areas. I think it's good.
What I reckon is going to happen, and again, as Mark said, obviously not our core area, but if we just apply some common sense and we just have a look at actually what is taking place in the market, Australia-wide, these areas are getting full. So there was a big influx of people moving to the northern beaches. Then there was a big influx of people moving to Newcastle, Coffs Harbour, Byron Bay. So they're going to, remember I spoke before about that moving the one ring out effect? Well, Cairns, stay tuned, because, these areas are getting so full and these property prices are getting so inflated that, like my buyer who bought an Ingleside the other day, because he's like, can't buy in Freshie, I'm going to start looking further north. That's what's going to happen, I reckon, up in Cairns, in those areas.
Okay.
Gold Coast is going to get full. I mean, I just saw on there, Andrew, look at that. 85 apartments sold out in 2 weeks in Mermaid Beach. We haven't seen numbers like this, right, for a really, really long time. But can I just say, Don't be scared, guys.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. It's not like we're, the population is growing at the same rate. There's still the same amount of housing everywhere. People are just moving about. Don't
forget what I said. We've got international, baby. We've got international. I want to drill down more on what I said about international. So
where are we going to put them all?
Leda has just said, what principles are you talking about for Cairns? What I'm talking about is that emotion, or those things that you talk to your husband or your wife about and said, you know what, one day I'd like to. Right? One day I would like to.
Yeah.
They're for the following reasons. They're the principles. I'd like to go to Cairns because. I'd like to go to because this, because of that, because of the sun, better life, it's quieter, it's whatever it is. Now, they are the principles I'm also talking about in international. It's people that they're cutting loose those, they're allowed to, and they've still got a job, they can cut loose those ropes that were holding them to forge forward to do what they wanted to do. Back to international. I'm in the UK. I've always wanted to go to Australia. Australia looks good. Actually, America looks good. And you know what? One of those two countries I'd like to go for the following reasons, the following principles, whatever you may find attractive, and everyone's different. So those principles that you're attracted to, or those elements you're attracted to, now you've cut loose and said, you know, screw it, I'm going to do it. Get this. I'm now a year after COVID. I don't think America's put on a good show. And I think New Zealand has put on a good show. I think parts of Asia have put on a good show.
New Zealand's gone through the roof.
Singapore, I think, has put on a good show. I think Sydney and I think Australia's put on a good show. What I mean by a good show is, again, let's go back to those principles. I would like, you're talking with your wife, husband, lover, and you're saying, look, I want to go because. Now, suddenly you're going, I still want to do that. Heck, you know what? Sydney, Australia, health system was good.
Phenomenal.
Citizens were good. And what I mean by that is when they were told to sit, they sat through hard times. Politics, the politicians, pretty good. Great, I won't get there, but pretty good. Education, pretty good. Climate, pretty good. So you got my point. What I'm saying is overseas, these guys are going, let's go. I've always wanted to do it. Now, if you're in the UK or all these different countries, they're coming.
This is just pushing them to do so. But Mark, where's the stock going to come from? Market. So, I truly do believe we are going to have a big influx of international people when those borders open. And I truly believe the areas that are prospering now, the Northern Beaches, the Gold Coast, Byron Bay, I think these areas are going to go through the roof. If we think we've seen growth now, buckle in, guys, because I reckon that we're going to see property prices increase double and maybe then some. Yes, that is absolutely my prediction. Now, we saw it happen. We were taking punts, Mark, in our sales meeting. Was it 4 weeks ago? Was it 4 weeks ago? And some of us were sitting around this table here behind me.
8. I wrote it down.
Was it 8 weeks ago?
I wrote it down 8 weeks ago.
Some of us were sitting around a table.
I stuck it on the wall.
And we were saying we're going to see a growth of 8%. We were laughing. 10%, some said. We were laughing. The highest. I said, no, I reckon I was, wasn't I?
Do you get it?
No, don't get it now, but we'll put it up afterwards. But some of us were saying 12%, and then maybe it was you, Mark, who called 20%. We were like, oh, my God, that's ridiculous. Well, guess what, guys?
Yeah.
What did it increase?
Yeah.
Up to 20% now in some of these areas on the northern beaches. We couldn't sell houses 12 months ago in Belrose for 1.55 million. Those same houses now are selling for around 1.9 to 2 million. Fact. True story. But I just want to say to you guys out there, because I know that we have a lot of buyers that watch here, don't be scared, guys. Don't be scared. If you've got the budget, buy now. Property is a long-term transaction. Don't get caught up in the hype. I had this conversation with a buyer before. I've got a beautiful property in an amazing location. And I said to them, don't get caught up in the hype. How long do you think you're going to be in your family home for? 5 years? 10 years? 20 years? You'll look back and you will still laugh that you picked it up at that price today. So don't get caught up in the hype. If you find a property and it's right for you, buy it if you have the capabilities to do so, whether the market's high or whether the market's low.
Before we go, some social proof. Social proof?
Social proof.
Yep. Social proof. Real estate proof, analytical proof.
All right, let's bring it up.
Talk about this north factor. Let me share the screen. Here we go. All right, so let's go. Just disregard what's behind us there. Now, over to here, guys. Allow me to explain this to you. The outer areas of Sydney have recorded the largest decline in rental days in the market, so it's doing well. You can see it's doing well. Okay. There's been minimal change in rental views. So you can see rentals has gone bananas.
Yeah.
Sales has
well,
gone
a lot of
bananas.
people, I mean, if you were like, our friend that was on a moment ago up in Cairns, if you're thinking about moving up to Cairns and you're coming out of Sydney, it might be daunting, Mark, to go and buy there, but you would go rent first and just try before you buy. So that's why a lot of these rents are doing well. People are coming in and they're just testing the waters in different areas.
Okay, look at this, guys. If you can't read on your screen, we're going to read it for you. This is the outer areas of Sydney's recorded the largest rises per listings.
Yep.
So properties for sale, it's gone bananas. This is the amount of people viewing property compared to all parts of Sydney.
These are facts.
Sydney Northern Beaches, 4,000 views per property. It has outstripped. Sutherland's done well.
Yeah.
Eastern suburbs, not bad. Central Coast, look at that. But this is the kicker. Over here is the change. It's even though these guys are not beating on total views in the Central Coast, the Central Coast exploded in terms of change.
Yes.
So the rate of change absolutely went bananas there.
Yeah, unbelievable.
All right, so I'm going to get in trouble from Lisa or kicked under the table in a second if I keep showing you this. But house price changes. Sydney Northern Beaches, Sydney Inner West, Sydney Outer Southwest, all doing real good with price growth in such a short
Sydney
time.
Eastern Suburbs. That used to be one of the best performers there.
Right. Now, let's look at this on a is it macro scale, a small, I think it is a
Micro.
macro, smaller scale. Let's look at this and have a look over our suburbs within it. We've got 35, 40 odd suburbs on the Northern Beaches. The cats that have done really good, over to you, Lise.
So Newport is performing phenomenally well. Bayview. Now, again, this is an area, Bayview is a beautiful, beautiful suburb, but it was always an area, as I said, if you'd get a listing, you'd be like, we'll buckle in for this one. The days on market are going to be long. Bayview is coming up on number 2, then Wheeler Heights. I mean, this whole map, we could have flipped this around the other way, Mark, I reckon 12 months ago. We could have turned the whole thing upside down 12 months ago.
Now, Unit, that's
Incredible.
houses there.
Yeah.
Unit's much the same. Fairlight's doing well. Lovely place to live for an apartment.
Unbelievable.
Warriewood, Manly, a lot of lifestyle going on there, even on the Northern Beaches, ripping it apart
Incredible.
on a small scale.
Incredible.
So, guys, that's it for the data. On that's 8 from realestate.com.au. Parramatta's having a hard time in there for Sydney
Well, a
house
lot of
growth.
people are moving from, so the areas that aren't performing well are the areas where buyers are obviously moving out of, and they're moving into other areas. As I said, they're pushing further north.
8% there on Sydney. That's it for my data because Lisa loves data.
All right, what else have we got to talk about, Mark? So market's performing well, guys. North suburbs all the way up the coast, all the way up through Australia are outperforming most other areas of the country, doing phenomenally well. Please don't be disheartened. I'm getting messages from buyers all the time. It's actually upsetting. They keep missing out on property.
Yep.
They're like, Lisa, we don't know what
is.
to do. We're feeling very disheartened. Don't, guys. We are seeing more stock coming on. Without a doubt, the domino effect is starting to happen now. Sellers are like, well, you know what? If you can get that money for my property, I'm going to sell. Offer hard, though. Like, don't put your lowest offer first. Someone will come and they're just going to trump you with a higher offer. So go hard with your terms and conditions and your offers. What else, Mark? I think
Don't be worried. Don't be worried. I think if you're in the market, particularly don't be worried. If you're not into the market, something I want to spruik because I do feel passionate about it. I know I shouldn't be selling here. This is more, giving people advice.
Yeah.
But something you should also do, guys, is if you are 2 years away from actually making that purchase, you can price lock today's price. Guess how? You can price lock today's price. I've just started my business. My business is going fantastic. I don't have my 1 or 2 years of history in my business, but I've got a great business. Consider off the plan because you can put down a 10% deposit. You don't have to pay a mortgage for 2 years. You don't have to have your finance approved for 2 years, and you're putting down a 10%. We've got one betters at 675, two betters at 950.
Gorgeous, too beautiful.
Where people can put down only 10%. Ring
Absolutely.
us, ask us, talk to us. We're here.
That's
It's a price lock. I call it price lock.
It's a great option. That's it, guys. I reckon that's a wrap from us. It's been a lovely, busy day. I actually documented my day today, Mark. I get a lot of agents asking me, what does my day look like. So I thought I'll document it for everyone. It started early, it's finished late. If anyone's interested out there, it's all on my social media. But yeah, it was interesting actually.
So Leila, if you missed it, Price Lock is buying something off the plan that's ready in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
You put down 10% with the hope the prices are going to go up off the plan.
Good to do in
Northern
this kind of
Beaches
market.
is available. And by the
Yeah.
way, we're talking to over 250 real estate leaders, owners of real estates. If you're watching tonight, we look forward to being on stage and talking with you on Thursday afternoon.
Yes, Mr. Lee Woodward, complete salesperson course.
Yep.
I think we're going to be speaking to a lot of principals of real estate agents. And guys, also, ARIC, the largest real estate agents conference and for mortgage brokers this year as well, in the universe. It's going to be held.
5,500 real estate agents.
It's going to be held on the 30th and 31st of May up on the Gold Coast. It is happening. Tickets are on sale now. I'm going to be speaking there. God help me, in front of 4,000 people. No, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm super excited. 5,500 people. Really looking forward to it. But guys, get your tickets. Gary V, Elle McPherson, Josh Tesselin, Tom Panos, John McGrath,
Lisa Wilkinson,
Lisa Novak. Get your tickets. Honestly, it is so much fun and you'll get so much value out of it. AREC, A-R-E-C. We'll pop a link in here. But you can get your tickets now and it is going to be happening.
And guys, if you can help us, the way you could do that is by sharing tonight to help your friends and family.
We'd love that. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.